Let me tell you a truth that most people don't want to hear. The modern world is quietly destroying mental strength, and the worst part is that people don't even realize it is happening because weakness today feels normal. We live in a generation where the tiniest discomfort feels like a tragedy, where silence feels threatening, and where the opinions of strangers hold more weight than our own self-respect. The world is not making people physically weak. It is making them emotionally fragile, mentally dependent, spiritually tired, and psychologically broken. Let me explain how, and more importantly, how to break free. Back in 2012, a young man named Ryan said in an interview that likes on social media determined his happiness more than anything else. And at the time, people laughed. But the reality is that Harvard researchers discovered that receiving likes activates the nucleus accumbens, the same pleasure center stimulated by drugs like cocaine. Imagine that the entire world is now addicted to digital applause, and every scroll, every heart, every notification is a tiny dose of dopamine that trains the brain to depend on external validation. When the meaning of your life depends on strangers tapping buttons on a screen, anyone can manipulate you. Ancient philosophers warned about this long before social media existed. Marcus Aurelius said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." Yet today, most people build their self-worth on comments from people they will never meet. This is why developing mental strength starts with cutting the invisible strings that make you a puppet of other people's opinions. Once you understand this, the next battle is emotional control, which is harder than it sounds, because the brain itself fights against you. In the chimp paradox, Dr. Steve Peters explains that every human has an emotional chimp inside their mind, impulsive, reactive, dramatic, and most people let that chimp drive their life. Neuroscientists call this the amygdala hijack, where your emotional brain overrides your rational brain, causing you to say things you regret, make irrational choices, fall into anxiety, and destroy relationships. But something incredible happens when you learn to pause before reacting. A Stanford University experiment found that individuals who paused for even 6 seconds during conflict had significantly better emotional stability and decision-making ability. 6 seconds. That is all it takes to prevent the emotional chimp from grabbing the steering wheel. But today's generation has lost this skill because the mind is overstimulated, restless, and uncomfortable with stillness, which leads us to another frightening truth. Most people cannot sit alone with their own thoughts. A University of Virginia study placed participants in an empty room for 15 minutes with no phone, no music, no entertainment, and many participants chose to shock themselves rather than be alone with their minds. Think about that. People preferred pain over silence. This explains why anxiety is rising and why stress feels like a default setting. The brain no longer knows how to rest. Strong minds are not built in chaos. They are built in silence, in reflection, in facing your internal world. Every strong thinker in history, Einstein, Tesla, Newton, Buddha, all spent significant time alone. Not because they disliked people, but because they understood that clarity, creativity, and inner strength grow only when the mind is not drowning in noise. Now let's talk about comfort, because comfort is the silent killer of discipline. For thousands of years, humans faced real challenges: hunger, long distances, physical labor, natural threats, and these struggles built resilience into our DNA. But now everything is instant. Instant food, instant entertainment, instant gratification, instant rewards. The human brain, which evolved for hardship, becomes weaker in an environment with no challenges. In her book, The Willpower Instinct, Dr. Kelly McGonigal proved that avoiding discomfort reduces self-control and resilience, while facing small discomfort daily increases willpower. This is why Navy SEALs say, if it doesn't suck, we don't do it. You don't have to join the military, but you must build your own training ground. Cold showers, early mornings, workouts, discipline, doing difficult things, even when your emotions resist. These micro-battles rewire your identity, because you begin to trust yourself. You begin to believe you can handle life, and that belief is the root of mental strength. But even if you build discipline, you still face another enemy: digital overload. MIT studies reveal that the average attention span is now 8 seconds lower than a goldfish. Because short-form content trains your brain to jump from stimulation to stimulation. Dopamine spikes from reels, TikTok memes, and notifications create a cycle of mental restlessness. Your brain becomes like an engine stuck in high-speed mode, unable to slow down, unable to focus, unable to think deeply. A 24-hour dopamine detox, even just one day without social media, has been shown in medical studies to significantly improve focus, reduce stress, and increase clarity. Imagine that. A single day can reset a brain overstimulated for years. Another pillar of mental strength is boundaries, and they might be the hardest thing for weak minds to build. Saying no is difficult when you fear disappointing people. In his book Essentialism, Greg McKeown states that people lose their life not because they were unable, but because they were too available. A mentally weak person says yes to everything, yes to people they don't like, yes to favors they can't afford, yes to invitations they don't enjoy, yes to environments that drain them. Strong minds protect their time, energy, and emotional space like a priceless asset. They say no boldly because their priorities matter. And then comes one of the most powerful truths we know from science. Your environment shapes your mind more than your willpower. The longest-running study in history, the 85-year Harvard study on adult development, found that the people you surround yourself with influence your mental health, emotional stability, decision-making, and even lifespan. If you surround yourself with complainers, victims, negative thinkers, or lazy individuals, their mindset infects you, often without you noticing. But when you surround yourself with driven, disciplined, curious, kind, mentally strong individuals, you rise naturally because the environment pulls you upward. Your circle is not just your company, it is your destiny. And now, let me bring everything together. You were not born anxious, weak, distracted, or addicted to validation. Life trained you to be this way, bit by bit, notification by notification, comfort by comfort, distraction by distraction. But every time you choose silence over noise, you strengthen your mind. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your identity. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you strengthen your capacity. Every time you choose growth over excuses, you strengthen your character. Every time you choose boundaries over people-pleasing, you strengthen your peace. And every time you choose inner truth over external validation, you strengthen your soul. Mental strength is not a gift reserved for a few. It is a daily practice available to everyone. And if you begin this journey today, even with the smallest steps, you will slowly become unbreakable in a world designed to break you, because at the end of the day, strong minds build strong lives and weak minds follow the world. The choice, now and always, is entirely yours.